Good. So starting with a meditation in this class, which is around decision making. Often in our lives, we can make decisions. We have a lot of freedom. Often maybe we have more freedom than we allow ourselves to have, or than we realize. In our modern world, certainly in Europe, we have a lot of choice as to what we do, who we see, how we run our lives, how we prioritize things. And we might feel restricted by social convention in some ways, or expectations of our nearest and dearests, and our own assumptions and expectations, and how we were brought up, and all kinds of influences, some of which may be conscious, some of which may be unconscious. At the heart of it, though, there's often a lot of choice, and some of the things we decide to do or not do may not always be agreeable with other people, and that can be part of the choice. I'm going to choose to do this regardless of what someone else thinks. And then there's also the drive of the mainstream. So in lockdown during COVID, we've all been asked to toe the line, to join in the staying at home, and most people, I think, have done that. And there may be have been a strong response within you towards people who haven't, and maybe you've broken some of the rules. I know I have, and we've seen some of the politicians being kind of really criticised for some of the decisions they made about their personal lives. So inside of us, there's probably part of us that likes to follow the rules, or certain rules, is comfortable with rules, and we might also have an inner rebel. And sometimes the inner rebel, or the sort of good girl or the good boy that follows the rules, is quite strong in many areas of our lives, and sometimes it's very contextual. So we can bring awareness to some of those habitual patterns, and when we recognize them and we know them, then it's easier to choose to, well, this time I'm not going to go with that. This time I'm going to try something different. And I'd like to read you a quote that a friend sent me, and was also mentioned to me by a friend who works in theatre. And it's from somebody called Keith Johnston, who is a kind of improvisation actor and writer. And he said, there are people who prefer to say yes, and there are people who prefer to say no. Those who say yes are rewarded by the adventures they have. Those who say no are rewarded by the safety they attain. So we can explore whether that might be true for us or not, whether Keith Johnston is right about that or not. And again, it might be contextual. So in terms of the easing of lockdown, I think saying no to going out and seeing more people, it has a pretty much, we can say definitely, a safety element. And saying yes to coming out a bit will open the door to some new things, to some good things, maybe adventures, maybe simple reconnection with family and friends. So there's always a weighing up. When we say yes to something, it opens the door. When we say no, it might close a door, but also when we say no, it might create opportunity for another yes. saying no to ending lockdown says yes to keeping lockdown. It's a very simple equation. So you might already be starting to reflect on, oh, what kind of person am I? Am I a yes person? Am I more of a no person? And you don't need to go too deeply into why or judging yourself in some way. I think we always need the capacity to do both. We need the range between a good strong yes and then all the way the other way to a good strong no. So it's often about developing choice and range and recognition of habits that may not serve us all the time. So as we're coming into this meditation, which is from Rick Hanson, who I also mentioned in relation to taking in the good and hardwiring happiness, it can be helpful to take on a posture that emphasizes a kind of a yes, an opening, which can be really subtle. So it can be turning your palms up, resting the backs of your hands on your legs. For example, if you're sitting or on the floor with your arms a bit wide, as if you're kind of opening your arms to receive something. Receptive, yes. So yes can be that kind of relaxing back, yes, I accept, I receive. It can also be active, which we'll explore later. So now kind of receptive, yes, and opening towards posture. And if it's comfortable for you to meditate with your eyes open, you could also softly open your eyes, not looking at anything specifically, but again, to emphasize opening and receiving. And becoming aware of your breathing and how your body has found stability in your posture on the floor or on your seat. So exploring saying yes, first of all. And Rick Hanson in his intro actually also mentions improv. So there's an exercise in improvisational comedy, a kind of warm-up, where you start every sentence with yes and. So someone says something and you always reply with yes and then you add something. And it kind of keeps the conversation going, and it lifts and lifts, and the excitement lifts and lifts. So even the word yes in our mind might have that slight, yes. Even silently hearing it in your head, what does yes feel like to you? There might be a subtle somatic response, body response to yes. And what does the word no feel like? You can again do that silently or say it out loud. No. What does that feel like? No, and there is often a preference associated as well, where obviously when we make a request of someone, we would prefer to hear yes than no, more than likely, because we've asked them for something. So we're hoping for a yes. And sometimes it can be hard to accept a no. Might feel like a rejection, like no after a job interview, no, you haven't got the job. A proposal, no, can be hard to hear. And still very important to have no and for your no to be heard. But recognizing there's probably, definitely in certain contexts, a preference where yes will be preferred over no. So you might get a sense that yes draws you more out into the world, kind of has an opening sense, maybe a subtle curiosity, enthusiasm, excitement. And saying yes to something doesn't always mean that we like it. We might say yes to looking after our grandchildren or doing someone a favor when we're not necessarily liking it. We were planning something else. And sometimes we need to say yes to things that are hard. Yes to certain sorrows or griefs that are inevitable because they're happening. Maybe initially saying yes to lockdown, it wasn't easy. It meant we had to let go of a lot of plans. But most of us said yes because we knew it was the right thing to do. So yes can simply mean accepting the facts as they are and that we're not resisting them, or our intention is to not resist. Our intention is to go with the flow. So now bring something into your mind that you would like to say yes to, that you're clear you'd like to say yes to. Maybe it's enjoying nature today or going for a walk today. Having a nice cup of tea, which I have here. Yes. And then say yes to something neutral. Like maybe, yes, I will brush my teeth tonight before I go to bed. Something you'll definitely do and don't really think about, and it's just normal. Yes to wearing shoes when I go outside. So they might feel quite easy. And then saying yes to something that doesn't come so easy. So maybe it's making a phone call, which is a bit of an obligation. Meeting a deadline when you'd rather be out in the sunshine. Doing a chore around the house that you don't really like. Saying yes to cleaning the bathroom. And notice what that feels like. So there might be a bit more resistance or a sense of I don't really mean it. But if we keep saying yes to cleaning the bathroom or yes to making that phone call, it can help us to cultivate more of an intention of acceptance. I'm going to do it anyway, so I might as well just go with it. Let go of that resistance. So then you could bring to mind maybe 2 or 3 more things that are currently a bit hard to accept, and nonetheless you're saying yes to them. So it might be another example along the lines I've already gave. And there might be bigger things. Yes, people are really struggling across the planet right now, and that's how it is. Yes, I've lost my income due to COVID or due to other circumstances. Yes, all the holidays this summer are cancelled. Spring. Yes, a dear one is ill or dying. There's nothing I can do, so it's a yes with sorrow inside it. Yes to the body I'm in, the body that is me, which may be in pain this morning or tired. Yes to the twists and turns that this year has taken so far. Yes to the present moment. What does that feel like? Yes to however we are now in this moment, to whatever is inside us and in our body. Perhaps getting some sense of the power and possibility of yes and how it might feel in your mind and body. And then saying yes to some movement. And of course, if you want to rest, you can always say yes to resting during the class, or yes to self-care and adapting the movements so that they suit you better. So again, there could be a no there, no, I'm not doing what Karin suggests because I know it's not the right thing for me today. And that no gives space for saying yes to something I know will work better for me. So an example of where we need a no to be able to say yes to something else. So just feeling your back on the floor again, and if you haven't been lying down, you can come to lying down. So the ground is the support. So often when we want to say yes to adventure, let's say yes to something new, we do benefit from having a sense of safety to work from. So if we feel, we might feel safer, for example, feel safer to see other people because we know it's going to be outside and we've agreed 2 meters distance. So that makes it possible to say yes. So the ground can be a metaphor for that sort of certainty, that structure that we've put in place, that we can be a bit more adventurous within. So feeling the ground, the solidity of the ground. And then we can take our arms up towards the ceiling. So your shoulder blades are on the floor. Palms can face each other or face away from you. You can see what feels more comfortable. Turn your palms around a couple of times maybe and notice. And then we'll do the walking the ladder movement. So we can reach up with one arm, let the shoulder come up a bit and reach up and then come back down. And then the other side, go up and back down. So gently reaching and returning, alternating your arms. And this can be a metaphor, a movement metaphor for sort of dipping our toes in the water, reaching for something and then kind of pausing. Is this okay? So I'm into tree climbing at the moment. So I might climb onto the first branch and then stop and look down. Can I still get down safely? Okay, and I kind of pause each time. I'm aware of my exit route back down. So not necessarily rushing into things. That can be a way of safely saying yes as well. So caution, trying, reaching. Can I reach that one? No, I can't reach that one. So come back, try another branch. Can I reach that one? Yeah, I can reach that one. So whilst still safely having our back to the floor. And then as we do that, we can bring in a reflection again. Is there something I want to work towards right now in my life? Is there something I want to reach for in the coming weeks or months? Maybe it is a little bit scary, a bit challenging. And can I cautiously start to reach for it? Maybe try something out. See how it goes. Lovely. And then we can bring our arms back down and our knees in towards us. Hugging our knees. So this can feel like quite a safe position, back fully on the ground, front of the body closing in, quite cozy, quite comfortable. And then from there, maybe we can take our feet up and down a couple of times gently, opening the backs of the knees. You can support the backs of your knees with your hands. Back of the body opening up a little bit. And then we can keep our feet raised. You can bend your knees as much as you like, find sort of ease in that. And then rotating our ankles, wriggling our toes, opening the soles of the feet up towards the light, the ceiling, the sky, whatever. And then doing the next movement one leg at a time. If you have back issues, feeling your back supported by the ground, keeping your back stabilized using your core as you breathe out and lower your feet back to the ground one by one or together if that feels okay. And landing back in the starting position for bridge. So the soles of the feet on the ground, arms out to the side, palms up. And we can do this in this slightly receptive way, the palms up. And the feet on the ground, feeling the structure, the support, the strength in the legs. So the bridge can be that sense of bridging body and mind, the ideas from our head, and then kind of really taking a step towards something that starts as an idea. So a yes backed up by an action. So So we can have a sense of that as we move into bridge, pressing down through our feet, maybe going up a little bit first, lifting and lowering our back, testing the water. So if you've got pain today, especially in your back, testing the waters, coming up a little bit. Does it feel okay? Coming back down, maybe making it smaller steps, smaller postures. Maybe there's a feeling of, yes, I really want to go up in this pose now and make a bit more effort and stretch. It feels good. So noticing if your body is kind of saying yes to this pose, or if your body is saying no because of pain, and then respond appropriately, whatever's appropriate for you, doing less or doing more. And then inviting you to hold the pose for a few breaths. You might say yes to that or no to that, depending on how you are. If you're kind of doing it because you know it's good for you, it's strengthening your legs, your buttocks, there's no pain, maybe you're just feeling a bit reluctant, see how it is to say yes within the reluctance. Yes. And if there's a no, notice how it is to say no. No, I'm not doing that. It's not right for me today. I'm saying no to bridge and yes to resting. Both yes and no can be very empowering. And then coming back down if you haven't already. Bringing your knees in towards your chest again, taking a rock from side to side. You can let your head roll in the opposite direction of your knees. Lovely. And then rolling onto one side. And we'll come to all fours. Do take a moment to grab a knee pad if you would like one. And the cat pose, as always, we might do it on our elbows. If there's any issues with our wrists, or we could alternate hands and elbows. And again, we can be aware of back issues where we can keep it very small if you've had recent back pain or current back pain. Just maybe a tiny movement like this. If it feels good, you might go further and a bit deeper into the poses. So on a more subtle level, it's quite subtle, there might be a feeling of yes in the backward bend. When we're looking up and forwards and out into the world. And the forward bend can be a bit of a withdrawing, going inwards, looking towards the navel, kind of navel gazing. So it's not necessarily literally a yes and a no, but it's an outward and an inward. And sometimes yes and no are a bit like that. Saying yes to an invitation, to going somewhere, doing something. It's often an outward, towards the world, towards something, and no might be more of a withdrawing. going in. Noticing those. And then coming up to kneeling or upright kneeling. Sitting on your heels might not be comfortable, in which case come there or sit in any other way or even stand. We're just going to release our hands. So circling the hands, you could do figures of 8 or full circles, just again seeing what your body likes. Be a bit playful here, moving our fingers. Then we'll come up to standing. If you're a bit low on energy levels, of course you can sit on a chair. Adapt as you see fit. So standing up can contain a bit of a yes, and it could contain a bit of a no. So I'm thinking of sort of getting up in the morning. Sometimes feel very reluctant, no, the alarm. And then just getting up out of bed, standing up can be a yes, yes to the day. It can also be a no, sometimes taking a stand for something, saying no in terms of protest, no to some government policy. When you go to a demonstration, there's that, I'm standing up for this, I'm taking action. So both yes and no can be very full of action. So we're going to look at no a bit more now and the power of that. And then we'll alternate with yes and no. So in embodied yoga principles, there's it's kind of like a warrior pose, and we call it no posture. And it's in that spirit of warrior that sometimes to protect ourselves or our families or our boundaries, we have to say no. So I'll show you the posture first. Show you the feet. So the feet are the kind of wider warrior stance. So my feet are close to the edges of the mat, and my front foot is parallel with the mat, the back foot slightly turned out. It just kind of gives a really nice sense of stability. And then my front knee is a bit bent, like it would be a normal warrior, so there's a slight sense of going forwards, the back leg straight, very slightly pushing me forward. So there's probably like 60% of my weight on the front foot and 40 on the back. So there's a slight forward sense of embodiment. And my torso is upright. So it's a very centered pose despite this 60% thing. So it's also upright and the weight slightly forwards. And then on the screen, it really looks like I've got my right foot forwards. It's actually my left. You can mirror me. When we do it together, you might already be doing it. Looks like you are. Then awareness of my heart facing forwards, my hips facing forwards. So the back leg slightly turned out, but I'm not turning with it. From my hips up, everything is facing forwards. Straight on, I'm facing straight on, looking at what I want to say no to. And it's coming from the heart. I'm going to take my hand, my left hand, be your right if you're mirroring me, forwards in front of the heart, so you can see with this camera angle my hand is covering my heart area. And I'm facing forwards. And then this hand is going to be a loose fist, quite loose, not tense, just like I mean it. I mean it. If that feels too strong, you can have another hand with the palm forward. So kind of like, pushing something away, ready to push something away. If that doesn't feel so powerful, you can go with the fist. You can try both. Weight slightly forwards, torso upright. So I'm just going to take a look at the gallery screen. So it's really important to face directly what we're saying no to. So if I say no like this, or like this, no, already my voice changes as well. No, it sounds a bit more hesitant. So I'm not really facing it. Looks like I don't mean it as much. It looks like you could get around me in some way. So if I really face forwards, it looks stronger. Excellent. Because of camera angles, it's quite hard to see whether you've all got your hand in front of your heart and you're facing forwards, but you can maybe see yourself in your camera and kind of get a sense of like, do I look like I mean this? And then we can shake it off a bit. And I'll just pause the video and check in with you because it's an interesting pose to reflect on. So this already kind of quite strong way of standing, strong and at ease. So in all these poses, we're kind of looking for a sense of ease in saying no. It doesn't have to be no, kind of really tense or unbalanced, or just saying yes to everything. It's everything in balance. So we'll do the no pose on the other side. So if you're mirroring, it will be your left leg forwards, your right leg behind that wide stance on the mat and fairly short stride. So it's kind of, and it's a normal stride. It's not like no, going out of balance, keeping it very balanced. Front knee a bit bent, the back heel defined on the floor. So there's a sense of slightly pushing forwards through the back heel. Not leaning forward, so keeping our head above our hips. And then the left hand from the heart and in front. So it's a kind of compassion no as well. We're talking about grandchildren, children. No is often to keep them safe, isn't it? No, don't touch that hot thing. No, don't play with knives, whatever it is. And then maybe the fist or the backup hand, palm forwards. No. Is there anything we want to say no to that's coming up in this week or the next few weeks or months? And I've quite successfully applied this with things like overusing social media or stopping an unhealthy habit, eating too much chocolate or whatever it is. No. And then we can gently release that. So we've made that kind of embodied statement. And then, yes, we can take the other foot forward, so it'll be your right. And it's the same leg position. I'll just show you again with a bit more of my body visible on the camera. Because this time the weight distribution is the other way around. So I'm going to straighten my front leg. So I've started here, same width, same length that way. And I'm going to straighten my front leg and bend bend my back leg. So we've sometimes done this with the sort of oriental rowing. It's forwards is no and backwards is yes. So we're leaning back a bit, my hips are coming back, and it's again 60-40, but this time 60% on the back leg and 40 on the front. And my head is going to be above my hips, but my spine a bit concave, a little bit towards sort of backwards, relaxed backwards, as if I'm leaning back into a chair. And then my arms out to the side, showing you from this angle. So I'm kind of soft and relaxed here, arms out to the side. Yes, palms forwards, as if I'm encouraging something in towards me. Yes. Come on then, maybe like, again, a puppy running towards you, or inviting someone into the house, inviting someone in for a hug, maybe, you know. When this lockdown is over, who are we going to hug? Yes. Sort of inviting. It's an inviting yes. And then when we shift the weight forwards, we can explore no, no, yes. It's a forward and backwards. Let's have a little play. And again, if there's something particularly we want to say yes to today or this week, maybe linger there a bit longer, or if you're in need of this no, protecting my boundaries in some way, maybe stay in the no a bit longer. You can change sides again as well if it becomes a bit awkward on your leg or your hip. So no, weight 60% forwards, spine straight, upright, and yes. It's like, I'm settling back into an armchair. Yes to watching a bit of telly now. Very kind of relaxed, yes. It could also be a simple thing like work-life balance. If you're working from home at the end of the day, no to work, that's done now. Yes to the armchair. Excellent. Let's pause again for a moment to check in. So sometimes no is simply about boundaries. Might not be such a sort of warrior no, it might be a bit of a gentler one. Example might be, I have a lock on my phone so that I don't get any messages between 9 in the evening and 8 in the morning. So that might be an example of a very gentle no, which is more about simple, healthy boundaries. So this might be sometimes needed to sort of restrict my mobile phone use, and sometimes it's very gentle. So a gentle containment boundary posture that we use in embodied yoga principles is the feet either side of the mat with the knees a bit bent. So it's that kind of sumo wrestler stance, and the pelvis is sitting slightly tilted, so the tailbone is pointing down. So again, very earthy structural support there. And then the arms go into almost like a hugging gesture again, a little bit of space between the hands, so it's not completely closed boundary. There's some flexibility. If there's something urgent, I'll check my phone. It's not a hard and fast rule. So sideways on, it's like a hugging gesture. You could have your hands a bit lower if you've got any shoulder things going on, it's fine. And there's a sense, okay, so what's inside this boundary is important. My rest at night is important, so the phone goes off and everything else will just have to wait. You could turn the palms out to make it a little bit more focused on what stays out. So that's kind of what we're saying no to, not doing that, to protect what I care about on the inside. And quite a few people have said, for example, they were shielding themselves so that they could protect their partners who are at higher risk, for example. So there's a sort of really caring element in that. There's no to this, so I can protect this, what I care about. So you could even have one hand out and one hand in, like this. So no to that, so I can say yes to that. That's quite a nice sort of combination. No to watching Netflix late because I need my sleep. Again, you might have a personal example of a healthy boundary that you like to keep. You can relax our arms. And then the last one is enthusiastic yes. So that can be really good at the start of a week. So what do I really want to do this week? What do I want to go for? Or today? What am I enthusiastic about? Or what would I like to be enthusiastic about? Maybe, I really want to do something, but I'm feeling a bit lethargic, or I didn't sleep well, so I'm a bit reluctant. So to maybe overcome reluctance or really emphasize, yes, that's what I really want to do today, is the enthusiastic yes. And this is a dynamic posture. So we step forwards into it, and all the weight goes onto the front foot. The proviso being balance. So if you are a bit wobbly, you can keep the back toes on the floor, for example. So stepping forwards into something. And if you feel balanced, you might let that back foot come up for just briefly. So you can try that stride, check your balance. And then the arms go down and out. So I'll tilt my screen a bit more. Down and out, and the chest opens. So it's very much opening forwards and outwards. Yes to whatever you want to say yes to today. You can say it out loud, your mic's muted. Yes. Yes, I'm saying yes to. My next activity will be some reading a new practice for myself around breathing, which I now want to introduce in the classes. So, yes to that. Yes to exploring a new practice. Yes. And this is a little bit more passionate enthusiasm. So again, you might have a feeling, oh, that's a bit unfamiliar. If you're a bit of a no person, or a bit shy, or a bit introvert, this might feel a bit uncomfortable. Culturally, it's also not so much part of the British culture, maybe more part of a Southern culture or sort of American type enthusiasm. So notice how you relate to that, and if it feels a bit uncomfortable but longed for, or uncomfortable because it kind of makes you feel put on the spot or self-conscious. Notice that. And if English is not your first language, I think it is actually for most of you, maybe Michaela not, then you can say it in your own first language. So mine would be yeah, because that can really embed it as well. First language. Yeah. Yes. And then we can stop again, shake it off a little bit. And then partly as a physical counterpose to that back bend, but also another subtle way of saying no is a letting go pose, or the standing forward bend. So again, you can do that seated or halfway. You can do it by simply breathing out, letting go. Oh. Anything we want to let go of today to maybe enable a yes. Sometimes it's letting go of something to enable yes to something else. And then you can come up. Another little bit of a shake off. And as we go into relaxation, you can of course get all the bits that will keep you warm and comfortable. And again, you can start in a pose that maybe is a bit yes-like, so I'll quickly demonstrate. So a bit yes-like is the arms up and out, maybe the legs a bit more open that way. If you like the cobbler pose, you could spend a few moments in this one. We haven't done a lot of hip opening. But you can always put something under your knees if you've got some sofa cushions to hand, or something. You can put something under the top of your thighs or your knees to kind of support them. Just demoing that on this side. So that has a slight sense of opening in it, but as I said, you can simply do it with your hands. If you prefer to bend your knees or have them over a bolster, that's fine. You could do it by having your eyes softly open, so you're a bit more open to receiving. And receiving the week and how it's going to be. So taking a little bit of time to get settled there in one of those poses. And if you're more in a no mood now, then of course you could turn your palms down. You could rest your hands on your torso in more of a closing position. You could close your eyes. You could bend your knees and let your knees lean in together. So it's a bit more of an inward, subtle inward posture you can choose there as well. Noticing how you are about stopping and resting. I often suggest that we say to ourselves yes to resting at the start of a relaxation. Just in case there is that subtle resistance or subtle or maybe not so subtle feeling of I should be doing something more useful. Kind of wiredness in the body. But here our yes might be quite soft, yes, and backwards, resting backwards and downwards. Very different from the enthusiastic yes. There might be a gentle no to distraction, no to activity. Clarifying the boundary we often need to put in place to have moments of rest. To close the door. To turn the phone off. Noticing the value of yes and no in relation to rest, relaxation, having time to ourselves. How might that be useful for you in this moment in time? Maybe you've had a lot of rest in lockdown, maybe more than usual, maybe less than usual. Maybe more time to yourself or less. Perhaps there's a balance, a new balance to find as we gradually come out of lockdown. You might notice a yes or a no at the sound of the bell. Yes, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get up and do Monday. Or maybe a no, I need some more rest. So noticing your response, and if you have time to say yes to more resting, feel free. Noticing choices that you might be making, able to make. And then if you want to come up, noticing maybe it's a very gentle yes to coming up and out of relaxation. Maybe it's an enthusiastic, yes, I'm totally ready for the day now. And acknowledging where you are, coming back in a way that works for you.